This is Erin Harrison coming to you from IT Expo in Austin, Texas, and I'm joined today by Michael Tindall, who is the co-founder of SIP Routes. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. So tell us about SIP Routes and what you guys do.
Yep. So SIP Routes is we've been around for about 2.5 years. SIP Routes is the first really cloud-based least cost routing engine in the marketplace, and there are lots of folks that advertise cloud, and cloud is definitely a big buzzword in this conference. Mm-hmm. What differentiates us is we give complete and total control to the end customer over their least cost routing strategy, specifically utilizing the SIP protocol. Today, there are a number of different options when it comes to least cost routing. It's obviously a very big item, especially in this economy with folks that are cutting budgets, trying to lower operating costs. They can either go and purchase an off-the-shelf logoed piece of equipment, or in this case, you'd be purchasing multiple because of the redundancy factors, or there are a couple of other companies out there who have kind of a least cost routing background. None of them, and this is what differentiates SIP Routes, exposes and gives the end customer complete and total control over the routes that they want to use.
Okay. And you guys are putting out a new product release. Tell us a little bit about that.
We are, and like I said, this is the second iteration of the SIP Routes portal, and that's really what our key focus is as a software as a service provider to the telecommunications industry. We in and of ourselves are not a telecom provider. We're not a CLEC. We are a software as a service company. And the new product that we're launching shortly after IT Expo and are showcasing actually here at IT Expo is the 2.0 portal, which gives customers that, as I mentioned, complete and total control over every aspect of their least cost routing strategy. They get to see who the vendors are. They can turn them on and off. They can say, okay, I like Verizon. I like them in the Northeast. I'd like to only use them for the Northeast. I'd like to use AT&T, and I'm using the Ardbox as big examples. They're all part of the software platform, as are many of the other ITSPs that are showcased here at IT Expo. We've got over 28 different options within the system for individual customers to pick and choose from. We don't hide who they are. It's completely up to the end user.
Okay. And we were talking earlier about some of the telecom management issues that you guys deal with and help alleviate. What are some of those issues, and how do you guys help alleviate those burdens?
Yeah. So there's really two. There's the operational side of things, which has to deal with how do you manage different vendor interconnects. How do you determine when you have an issue on your network, who do you contact? Typically that's very straightforward in the form of a knock, but what happens if it needs to go beyond that? There's multiple levels of escalation that have to go through. There's, depending on your SOPs on how you store that information internally, that could be as simple as a spreadsheet that somebody has to go to, or you could have other intranets that store that information. The bottom line is there's no clear point of trouble reporting or resolution. You have to go, there's cycles that are wasted there in terms of figuring out first, okay, we had a problem. It was one-way audio, it was low quality, it was, I got a 503, why did I get a 503? You isolate that first, then you have to go, okay, well, who's responsible? That you're losing cycles in terms of your customer experience while you're figuring that out, and then finally running the flag up the flagpole, so to say, to the right person within the organization and through their own internal SOPs, which is, most of the viewers here probably agree are pretty egregious and tough to get through. We simplify that by condensing that into one point of interconnect from an operational perspective. The SIP Routes NOC manages all of that on behalf of the end users or end customers. The other side of things really comes down to the business side of telecom management, and that's typically, in many cases, that's one person who's responsible for vendor relations, maybe a team of 2 or 3, and those folks are responsible for evaluating the marketplace and figuring out who's out there, who's the right company to do business with. Do they have high quality routes? Do they own their own network? They've got a series of business decisions that they have to go through, not to mention the contractual life cycle, which depending on the interconnect can take anywhere from, hopefully as simple as a couple of weeks, but as we've seen, we've had interconnects that took us over 2 years to acquire just because of the internal bureaucracies and red tape that go along with some of them. And that's a challenge when you're dealing with an environment that's constantly requiring people to wear multiple hats, and it becomes a cumbersome task to manage not only the onboarding process, but then the ongoing lifecycle management of rate updates, most of which come 2, 3, or more, sometimes a month, and how that how that information flows through to the folks who are responsible for, the costing of things. It's a nightmare. I mean, just talking about it out loud here, I'm exhausted thinking about it, and that's really the genesis of where we came from. We're in a very complex industry. It's kind of, we took a step back and said, why is it so complicated, and does it have to be? Why is it that companies like Apple are consistently able to come out with innovative products that change the landscape of how individuals think about communications? Why isn't that happening at the macro level behind the scenes? Mm-hmm. And that's really the basis and the genesis of what the SIP Routes software platform does. It is a one button or less philosophy that condenses and boils down the complexities around operational management of vendors and interconnects, and the business side of the complexities of managing those interconnects as well.
Okay, and looking ahead, what's next for SIP Routes?
So, what's next for SIP Routes? We currently operate a footprint that exists only within country code 1 dialing plan, so North America. We are, after the 2.0 launching international footprint coverage, so we're going international. If you're an existing customer of ours, I know a lot of you out there have been asking for this, and we've been working very diligently to enhance that footprint. Like I said, we've got over 28 domestic interconnects. We've been reshoring the international interconnects as well, to make sure that when we go to market, we have more than just 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. That all of the major players will be there, as well as the niche players that you might not know about or might not have access to or just don't have the time to get into will have that. Shortly thereafter, one of the challenges in this industry is the issue of LRN routing. There are a number of providers out there, but I'm surprised time and time again that customers who come on board with us are either they're aware of it, but they say, well, porting doesn't really affect us. Well, it does. And then there's the other ones who do get it, and then finally the ones who just don't have any idea on where to start. So we're going to be launching an LRN product, and really it's more of a tool to help our clients understand how to route, more so than it is of a profit center or a money maker. Even for us, it's just, again, we look at the landscape through the lens of, well, why is this so complicated, and does it have to be, and is there something we can do to change that? And if the answer is yes, that's what we do.
Okay, great. Thanks, Michael, for stopping by. I appreciate it.
Thank you.